Good evening. Welcome to the Siddha-Vetha webinar series. Happy New Year to all of you. So today we will be discussing on two topics. So there will be two speakers. One of the speaker is from a very remote area in Kerala, so it's going to be a little tough. If the internet doesn't work, then maybe we'll have to do a phone call. But he has so much experience. And the other speaker is myself. So let me introduce myself. I am born and brought up in a small village in South India, in the Nilgiris, which is highly biodiverse in the whole world. So much of different vegetations, animals we lived with. Is kind of, leopards used to come and eat our calves, and that kind of an environment. Lived with the soil, natural environment, played with clays, made idols, and so the culture, the local culture, there were very much into spirituality. Spirituality is a major aspect. But then I really wanted to see how the modern world works. So I used to be do some service as in the Vedanta Rajarajeshwari temple at a very young age, sweeping and doing some mantras and all these things, recitations. So I got a guru later on in my stage, and he said, you should go abroad. Why do you just learn the ancient knowledge? You should also learn modern knowledge. So I started to get interested into modern knowledge. I went to a school that is very, very, I didn't go to an ordinary school like a Tamil school basically. Instead, I went to a very modern school that was so much into Western culture, basically. At a young age, you had boyfriends, girlfriends, all kind of things, and so that kind of a school environment, which is, I think there are very few schools in India, even today, in that kind of an environment. And at earlier age, we were exposed to different things. And so that time we didn't know much, what was life like. I mean, we are attracted to the Western way of living in one way or the other. So the logical question of why comes, and the answer comes from West. So why do we have to wear slippers? Why can't we just go into the temple without slippers? So I mean, all the answers are based on Western knowledge. If you ask these kind of questions, you will have a knowledge that comes from the West. It looks like logic, but this logic is called a linear thinking. So I will discuss about linear and non-linear thinking, which is part of the transdisciplinary science and technology, which I'm going to discuss. But what I am saying is that our mind has been brainwashed at a very young age in the school system to think in a very typical linear way. What is a linear way? Linear way is similar to learning a tables, like a multiplication table. Without understanding, you're going to just memorize. So you can, if you say 9 times 9, everybody knows, all of a sudden you will say 81. Where did you get this information from? 81, how did you come to 81? Because you start to memorize. So this memorizing comes to science and technology. What we are actually learning as logic comes from the Western books, and that knowledge has been memorized. You repeat, keep on repeating the same thing. What happens? It becomes knowledge. It becomes logic steps. So slowly you're asked, you're learning botany, you're learning zoology in a very young age, and you happen to see things in different ways, like you're separating petals and sepals and stigma, stamen, and you're identifying, you're breaking down the flower and you're naming that. And to you, the anatomy of a flower is basically it is made up of different components stuck together. And when you remove that, that's the anatomy, and you name that. And same thing we are going to do with the human body. So naming and disintegrating, right? So there are two parts to this. So this is how we have converted every knowledge into a pattern, that as if we have understood everything. So we believe that we have understood. And if a bunch of people put together do the same thing, repeat the same thing, it becomes a statistics, and we start to make people believe that this statistics is truth. And that's what is today, what is happening in the modern. So I really wanted to, at a very young age, I got an opportunity to meet many yogis, many yogis. Same time, I was very modern. I want to become modern. I was a very modern boy, doing all kind of modern things. So modern in the sense, it's Western things. So, when we say modern, what does modern really mean? So modern has different meanings. When you modernize, what are you modernizing yourself? I want to cut my hair. So what is this idea? This idea comes from, where did you get this idea from? Cutting hair. Is it a modern knowledge? Is there a requirement for that? Or did you borrow that knowledge from some tradition, culture? What is good and what is wrong in that? So if you look at Native Americans here in United States, they have long hairs. And their strong belief, their scientific belief from their tradition is that the long hair has connection with the cosmos. So the longer the hair we have, we can get the whole planetary connections with us. So we have seen within the Indian tradition, we had long hair and bald, completely. These two traditions, they had different kind of explanation for both. But in general, the perspectives of, you know, cutting hair on a regular basis, is it really good? So all these things come from a what you call a business model. People need business. So so when you cut hair, it is going to give job opportunity, and then somebody will survive, which is okay in some cases. But the amount of information it has is like very, very different. So that's why we did a transdisciplinary thinking, because hair is living. So the hair that we have is live. Even if you cut your hair or a nail, it has energy and it has connection with us. It continuously communicates. Any body parts from which goes out continuously communicates. And that's why those days in Indian tradition, we ask people to clean properly. If some air is found around the house, we need to clean that properly. And these precautions were taken in ancient days. And because hair is a very, very important component, and with one cell of the hair, you can create another yourself. And today modern technology can do that, right? So that means the process that happens inside is very important. So here now we have a really different kind of understanding for the whole process of lifestyle. A lifestyle is not just a lifestyle is connected with scientific components. Why we do this as a very deeper scientific meaning. So for a non-believer, so I used to once upon a time, when I got evolved in consciousness, what I did was I took all the idols from my house and went and threw it in the forest and stepped on it with my legs. So what would this do to me? Basically, I mean, is this a logical thing that I did? But maybe at that age, it is logical for me, because I thought that the believing idol is not God. Just this is a limited form of God. God is more than that, and God is everywhere. It should be a consciousness that is everywhere. But do I have to really do that? Not necessarily. So it is you showing hatred. It is you are the one who created the God, and you are yourself stepping yourself. So this is how we see. So now we need to understand that a human system is a very, very complex system. So I started to learn these things, that whatever we do, if you are angry and doing something, whether it's a living thing or a non-living thing, the hatred, so hatred will come back to us no matter what. You could be a very good yogi. I have seen many yogis. You can see a lot of people nowadays, they are yogis, YouTube yogis. Many of them are there. It's not about creating energy. Human being, are you you really wanted to just create energy and teach meditations and things like that, but you want to be a bad human being? You can curse others, You can shout at people, you know, whatever, and then you can be religious. You could be meditating, you'll be doing puja. So the question is now whether you wanted to be a good human being or a good meditator or a yogi. So if I put this question in front of you, what would you say? So you can type down, you wanted to be a good human being or a yogi. What it really means is yogi is somebody who can do meditation when I'm saying, right? He could do meditation in his own world. He could be very religiously meditating, but he could be any form. He could be an angry person. He could be a religious person hating other religious community, right? So here is some good human being. So you want to be a good human being. So this is very primary important thing is that being a human being is the most difficult thing in the world. You can become a yogi, it's very easy. You can even achieve the highest consciousness. But being a human being, a civilized human being, takes a lot of time. And that's why I understood that a transdisciplinary approach is a very important approach to develop that. What does transdisciplinary mean? So there are several meanings for transdisciplinary. When you say transdisciplinary, what I mean is transcending the disciplines of current disciplines. You know, you're not limiting to one kind of a discipline to explain something or understand something, different perspectives of looking at one thing, right? For example, somebody was sick and you go to a doctor. So what was the doctor said? You have a, what was your problem? He asked you. You said, I have a severe heart burning problem. And that the doctor found that this was not a heart burning problem, it's nothing to do with the heart. So yesterday he had some popcorns. He went to a theater and ate popcorn. So he asked and he found that that was responsible for the heartburn. Right? But this guy was suffering for a week. Right? But the doctor gave an answer, you know, this could be possible because you ate this. So now, is this the truth? So the doctor did not ask, right? What all did he eat other than the corn? Because everything has an effect. Every little component that goes into you, you're taking a jeera, you're taking a garlic, you're taking a sapotida, every tiny bit of thing has an information that causes many things. So which one is responsible for something happened in you is based on an assumption. It's not based on a truth. Right? Number one. This is layer number one. Then this guy says, you know, I never ate popcorn, but I had to because my kids, they wanted popcorns. They were in a movie theater watching movies, so they gave me the popcorns I had to eat. So the person, he could have avoided going to a theater. Something could have worked out better for him. He wouldn't have had the karma, but what forced him to go to that theater is karma. So there is another layer. So he was supposed to go somewhere else, but he ended up here, and he had to end up here so that he can eat popcorn, and therefore he can go to this doctor, and the doctor is a karma, has given a partial answer for this. All these are partial. So this could be one of the things that's happening around him. He has many components. He eats so many things that are unknown, but this karma came from here. It's a bit of a karma. Going back, he goes to another doctor who is doctor of a doctor, who is an ancient doctor, right? Many yogis are ancient doctors. So he tells, I know what happened. This is going to be a serious problem if you continue to do this. You can have colon cancer. Why? And he says, what is your business? What was your father's business? My father had a restaurant. This guy says, my father had a restaurant. So I used to add some component, and that's causing a problem. So that transferred to this person. The gene of the parents that come to the. So this is another way of looking at a layer of karmas involved in what is happening to you. Is not that the immediate thing. For so many years you are eating so many things. I was seeing, watching so many things, inputs that we are taking through our senses. All these things matter. And all of a sudden you want answer like this. You want a sudden answer like this, one-time treatment. I'll give you a medicine, it'll cure. And do you think it really makes sense for you to ask for that kind of a medicine? Is that medicine based upon truth? Will that work for you? There is no medicine like that. Even in Ayurveda, Siddha, there is nothing like a one-time medicine that will cure you in different things. They will relieve you. So every medicine is to relieve you temporarily. But again, we need to do some activities ourselves to fix that. So it's giving you a chance. So Maru Undudal means in Tamil, Marundu we call it. It's like a momentum. You get regain momentum again. So that's why now we have this approach of looking at this is called transdisciplinary approach, not looking at one thing, but looking at your karma, the state of maybe that time where you were sitting in your house, you're sitting in a corner, there's no light, and you're working there. You will have eye problem. If you have to put on the lights, you will have eye problem. If you're bright, the light is bright, you will have eye problem. And if you have communications, if Mars is affecting you, you will have communications issues. Probably, you cannot call somebody because your phones will go out, or you will have communication problems. You will give loose talks. All this can happen. So this is an influence that comes from planetary sources. So anything is not just limited to yourself. So what is limited to ourselves is a very tiny bit. That which you can control. Completely control is very little. What can be completely out of control is huge. And there is certain things that can be partially controlled. So you should concentrate on the things that you can totally control and partially control to some extent, but not on the whole thing that you can control. You cannot control those things. And sometimes, so that's why you will fail. You cannot continuously be a yogi because the uncontrolled thing is for everyone. That which is not controlled is not limiting anybody from that. Even if it's a yogi, they will have to suffer that. So this way of understanding will give us a confidence in how we deal with our daily stuff. So we can do a lot of things about when it comes to a thinking pattern. So the linear thinking is, what is linear thinking? A linear thinking is giving direct answers. So suppose you have a some rock, you have a water, rock, grass, different elements, and sunlight passes through these different objects. And then you are talking about what is observed in the sun and what is emitted. So we are looking at only the properties of the wave that is coming from the sun and how it affected it, heated up the stone or the water. And you are saying, oh, sun is like really a great thing, it can heat the water, it can do this. But you're forgetting that it is not because of the sun. It is because of that material, the object that we have, that brings these changes. So it's called internalization. So the object, it is the same sunlight, right? But the object changes into different things. The object's guna, we call it, the character of that object. If it's a rock, it's going to heat it up. If it is water, it's little hot, not as hot as the rock. And if it is grass, it's very different. So this heat, which is produced from the sun, it's not heat is not produced, it's only wave. Wherever it is touching, if it is a lens, it's going to burn. If you have a convex lens, if you keep an object, if you have a matchstick here, it's going to burn that, right? Immediately. So what is happening? So the internalization is a very important part. So the way consciousness works is, it is everywhere, surrounding us, every minute it is there. The moment we become a convex lens, we can use the entire energy of the sun to bond that. So this is the internalization. So how you internalize inside you is what matters. So everything is available in this universe, and you have to understand how to tap this energy within us and then convert this into an energy that can pass to others. So if these techniques are known, so many yoga techniques will teach that, but that's not enough. We have come here like taking, your somebody asked you to go take a bath and come in the ocean. So you go there, or in a river. So you should go take bath and come back. Instead, what you're doing, you're going and drowning inside. And now we cannot help. Same way. In this life, we have come here, it's a temporary journey. We have come here to do things, take a bath, and go back. So that's called detachment, detached attachment. You can, without involving into so much sensual pleasures that you're lost in that. We are lost in that sensual pleasure without that awareness. And that is where all the miseries come to our life. So if you consciously change this, how do we consciously change everything? Then that is the approach of transdisciplinary. approach where we need to understand how to shift from this region of misery, because you're going to, yes, entropy will always increase. Remember, you're not going to be happy some other day. Happiness doesn't come to you some other day. It's going to happen right now. So we have the next speaker in, if he's available, he's trying to reach, Wilson is trying to reach him. So in the meantime, I can I can continue with this unless you have a question. Um, so our approach is to shift from one perspective to another perspective. A complete perspective will come once you understand that you can learn from different people. So when I say transdisciplinary, we are limiting ourselves to one kind of a guru. I have been in different gurus. With Rajarajeshwari Swami, who's the senior most guru in the Vedic tradition from Bangalore. Then we have, these are a very young age, and Sivananda, Swami Sivananda from Andhra, the peace movement, is direct disciple. Swarupananda is one of my gurus, is a direct disciple. There are only 4 gurus. So I used to sit and my mother used to sit next to me. So he used to take class for both of us. And he talks about consciousness, how it is like a fire, you cannot see all these things. And then you come to another Yogeswarananda. I used to sit on his lap. He's a meditator, carried from, he's one of the leg is very small because 6 months he was meditating and lost his consciousness there. I was sitting on his lap, combing his hair. So these are the gurus I'm talking about. And I also was with Vedatri Maharishi, the latest guru, and Vallalar organization to Vedatri Maharishi was a great guru. I lived him, for silence retreat. That was the last thing that I did with him, was deep silence retreat for many, many days. So I went to a very transcendental state at that time. So in all these perspectives, I'm seeing that we have several gurus in our life, but each time when we are seeing a guru, we forget the other gurus. And we think that the mind thinks that you're not seeing the wholeness of the gurus. You're limiting yourself by one way of living, one way of doing these things. And that is what is called religion. A religion is not separating things. A religion doesn't mean you have to be a Christianity or Islamic. No. A religion means if you are following somebody, a one guru system, and you are limiting yourself to that guru, and you're closing yourself to other ideas from other gurus, then that is called religion. But religion is the most dangerous thing in the world, because that will make you build enemies. So this is why you can be very religious, but you could be a bad person, because when you become religious, you automatically create hatred towards somebody else. For example, you're following Jaggi Vasudev, right? For example, he's a modern yogi, right? And somebody is following, and suddenly I say I'm giving a concept about Vallalar or Vedatri. I don't like this. My guru is good enough. So this approach, it's a very limited approach, and you are always, you are not a good human being yet, because you are belong to a religion, your good practices are there, but still you hate some group. You will not like some group which is hating some group. That means you're closed. So when this openness comes, magnanimity, so this is one of the things when you are meditating, when you do deeper meditation, your thing opens up. You become very magnanimous. It is the property of the consciousness to be magnanimity. So why we have so many gurus is that you can learn different things. That's why we have so many human beings. If there is one person who is greater than the other, then you have a real problem. So at young age, I understand where you're coming. At young age, we cannot learn many things. So we are limiting ourselves to one guru for learning classical music or some slokas and all. But as you grow up, when you're matured enough, you have to cross that. One way of looking, instead of looking from one perspective, look from different perspective. You have different things you can learn, because the yogis are always revolving in different directions. Like, Vallalar will be here, Tirumular, everything is a frequency. So by limiting yourself to one kind of thing, you will have only one kind of frequency, and that too you will have limitations. I have seen in the same organization that I was working, people did follow, did everything, and they died miserably. So then I understood, like, oh, this is not enough. We have to do other things. Meditations are not enough. Introspections are not enough. We have to do many other things, many other components. You do add, include that. You haven't changed the food. There is no thing as such as about food. This guru did not mention much, because there are other gurus who mentioned. So you go to another guru, he has mentioned other things. What I am saying is an approach. This is how Vedas were done, Agamas were done, and this was copied by the Western science. See, Vedas, how they have done Vedas. Lot of people put together different subjects. Somebody in astronomy, somebody in agriculture, all are realized souls. And somebody compiled it together. So that is the modern approach that we are doing in science and technology. If you're learning physics, for example, you're not going to learn, I want to only learn Newton. I don't like others. Will you do that? No, then only I can understand. He knows the physics. Otherwise, I get confused. If I learn one from, Newton, another from another person, I get confused. I just wanted to be, no. You learn from different people. And that's the whole thing is what concept. So if you look at our yogis, they have built a science that one is connected, then they have the keys. So if you look at Vedatri, for example, he is connected to Vallalars. Vallalar goes to Tirumular, Manikavasagar, and it keeps on going. And same in the Vedic tradition. If you look at, they have reference. There is a key. If you look at every book, there will be a key to another book, another manuscript, or or copper plate, whatever you call it. Right. So this is how we have lost this somehow in looking at from this thing. See, in the West, there is, for example, Christianity is there. Christianity is a classical example of religion, which means you have to believe only in one thing, right? And that too, you're believing in a person. It's a guru system, right? Even though Jesus was a yogi, but he did not have any limitations. But Christianity is developed that way. So same way, I'm not saying just Christianity is a religion. That is how other guru systems are. So that's why we are not able to integrate. If you're able to integrate, India would have had the biggest system, which is amazingly classical. You have different components, and this integration should come into an education system. And the education system should be the guru. A guru, ultimately, you're not going to follow people. All people have problems. Every guru will have some problems. You could be the ultimate guru, have limitations because guru itself is a human physical body, and physical body from the consciousness comes with impurity, and that's very natural. And that is not wrong to believe in that theory. And don't be afraid to tell this because you yourself are part of this consciousness. Right? So when you get that realization, you will understand that the consciousness is nowhere other than you, inside you, which is operating, which is talking, which is seeing, which is doing everything inside you. The heart is functioning, your kidneys are functioning, the whole body is functioning, the thinking process is happening. So here you are there as a full blossomed consciousness. So if you really understand that the guru, all the external gurus are a guidance, we respect them, but don't forget the guru inside you. So that's the ultimate guru, and that's why I'm saying this is a transdisciplinary approach that we have taken to teach. So that I'm not saying you have to listen to me, and because I have limitations, so that's why I'm bringing different people. They're having, because they have a dimension of things, they have a. So I'm bridging this gap so you can learn different things from different perspective. But don't forget this. Okay, here we have the speaker, but I can take one question or we can do it later. So keep the questions for later. For now, we have the other speaker, so I don't want to take his time now. So so let me unmute the speaker in a bit. So keep your questions for later. Okay, so let's yeah. Wilson, can you unmute, and what is the number?